methodical ponytail, her eyes already scanning the perimeter. "You're early," she said, walking toward him. Rex couldn't sleep. Charlie lied easily. He smelled trouble. Sarah smiled, a small, knowing curve of her lips. "Trouble has a specific scent in this town, Charlie. It usually smells like sea salt and bad intentions." They were interrupted by the sharp chirp of Charlie's radio. It was Jesse Mills, the team's tech genius, his voice crackling with an uncharacteristic urgency. "Charlie, Sarah, we've got a 10 to 71, an abduction." "Or what passes for daylight in this fog?" Charlie looked at Sarah. The professional mask slid into place for both of them. But as their eyes met, there was a lingering shadow of something personal. A silent promise to keep each other safe in the storm that was coming. Chapter 2. The Silent Witness. The crime scene was a suburban sidewalk that looked painfully ordinary. Megan was a rising star, Sarah noted, her camera clicking as she documented the scene. Specialized in corporate law, but she had a side practice in pro bono work. She wasn't the type to go quietly. "She didn't," Charlie said, pointing to a smear of blood on the concrete. "Rex. Track." The dog put his nose to the ground, his body tensing as he picked up the scent. But as they moved toward the edge of the park, they found something more than just a trail. A young boy was sitting on a bench, a sketchbook clutched to his chest. He was staring into space, his body rocking slightly. "That's Brian." Jesse's voice came through the earpiece. "He's 12, autistic. His mother, Emma, just reported him missing from their house nearby. He must have seen it." Charlie approached the boy slowly, dropping to one knee to level their gaze. "Hey, Brian. I'm Charlie. This is Rex." Brian didn't look up, but his rocking slowed. Rex, with an intuition that defied training, didn't bark or lunge. Instead, he walked forward and rested his heavy head on Brian's knee. The boy's hand, trembling, reached out to touch Rex's soft fur. "He's a good dog, isn't he?" Charlie whispered. "The man," Brian said, his voice a ghost of a sound. "The man with the shadow face." Sarah knelt beside Charlie, her presence grounding. "Brian, can you show us what you saw? In your book?" With agonizing slowness, Brian opened the sketchbook. What lay inside wasn't the scribbles of a child. It was a hauntingly detailed charcoal drawing of a struggle, the lines sharp and violent. It was a window into a trauma that Brian couldn't put into words. "He does it all from memory," Sarah whispered, her hand brushing Charlie's arm. The contact sent a jolt through him, a reminder of the fragility of the lives they were trying to save. "Charlie, this boy is the only one who can save Megan." As the investigation deepened, the romantic tension between Charlie and Sarah became the tether that held them together. In the quiet hours at the station, over stale coffee and glowing computer screens, they navigated the murky waters of the case. They discovered Jamie, Megan's ex-boyfriend, a man drowning in debt and resentment. He seemed like the perfect suspect until Rex led them to a white van in a commercial laundry lot. Inside, they didn't find Megan. They found Jamie, cold and dead, a single stab wound to his heart. This wasn't a crime of passion. Sarah analyzed the body, her face inches from Charlie's as they peered into the van. This was an execution. Someone is using Jamie as a scapegoat. "And they're still holding Megan," Charlie added, his voice grim. Chapter 3. The Secret of the Distiller. The case of Megan Schaefer was just the beginning of a season of shadows. While the city searched for the missing lawyer, a new tragedy struck the heart of the Devereaux family, the patriarchs of the local gin industry. Willem Devereaux, a man who built an empire on juniper and iron-willed tradition, was found headfirst in one of his own fermentation vats, drowned in his own success. Jesse quipped, though his face was pale. Charlie and Rex arrived at the distillery to find a family at war. 3 children, Alan, Jaden, and Melanie, each harboring a different brand of resentment for their father. The announcement, Jaden told Charlie, his eyes darting to the floor. He was going to change the will. He was going to sell the business to a Japanese conglomerate. Or was he? Sarah asked later, back at the lab. She held up a small, dried botanical leaf. Rex found this in the distillery room. "It's Labrador tea," Rhododendron groenlandicum. Local, Charlie noted. And toxic in high doses, Sarah added. But Willem wasn't poisoned. He was hit with a bottle of gin and then dragged. Someone wanted it to look like a drunken accident, but they weren't strong enough to hide the drag marks properly. As they worked the case, Charlie found himself watching Sarah more than the evidence. He watched the way her brow furrowed when she was thinking, the way she tucked a stray hair behind her ear. He wanted to tell her not just about the cases, but about the way the world seemed brighter when she was in the room. But death always seemed to get in the way. The investigation into the Devereaux murder led them back to the mysterious new expression of Jean. Willem had discovered a secret ingredient, Labrador tea, which gave the gin a unique, addictive profile. It was Melanie, the daughter who felt most ignored, who had actually suggested the ingredient years ago. He stole my idea, Melanie confessed in a room smelling of spray paint and eye drops. I didn't kill him, but I wasn't going to let him give away my legacy to some faceless corporation. But Melanie was a better liar than she was as a daughter. Through Rex's tracking of a specific black spray paint, the same paint used to blind a security camera before a witness, Simone Sawyer, was poisoned. Charlie was able to corner her. You drowned him, Melanie, Charlie said, his voice echoing in the cold vat room. You saw an opportunity when your brother Alan left him unconscious, and you finished the job. As Melanie was led away in handcuffs, Sarah stood by Charlie's side. The cold Atlantic wind whipped around them. Is it ever just about the money, Charlie? She asked softly. No, he said, turning to look at her. It's usually about the things we think we're owed, and the things we're afraid to lose. He reached out, his fingers grazing hers for just a second longer than necessary. I don't want to lose this, Sarah. Lose what? She whispered. This. Us. Whatever this is. Sarah didn't pull away. She looked at him with an intensity that made the fog seem to vanish. Then, don't lose it, Charlie. Just hold on. Chapter 4. Blood on the Trail. The peace was short-lived. The Trainors, a crime family that had haunted street johns for decades, finally stepped into the light. It started with a murder on the docks. Malcolm Carter, a small-time crook who tried to blackmail the wrong people. The witness was a young man named Wyatt Donner, a hiker who had been in the wrong place at the perfect time. Charlie, Rex, and Jesse headed into the rugged wilderness of Cape Royal to find Wyatt before the trainer's hitman did. The woods were a labyrinth of pine and jagged rock. The air was thin and the silence was heavy. I have a bad feeling about this, pal, Charlie whispered to Rex. They found Wyatt, but they also found Serena Rickett, a professional assassin sent to silence the witness. The confrontation was a blur of violence and adrenaline. Crack! The sound of the gunshot echoed through the trees. Charlie felt a sudden, searing heat in his shoulder. He fell back, the world spinning. Charlie! Jesse screamed. Rex was a streak of fur and fury, launching himself at the assassin. Hours later, Charlie lay in a hospital bed, his shoulder bandaged, his body aching. The room was quiet, save for the steady hum of the monitor. The door creaked open. It was Sarah. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her face pale. She didn't say a word. She just walked over to the bed and took his hand. You idiot, she whispered, her voice breaking. You almost died. I had to save the witness, Charlie said, his voice raspy. I don't care about the witness, Sarah snapped, her tears finally falling. I care about you. Do you have any idea what it felt like? Waiting for that radio call? Charlie pulled her closer, ignoring the pain in his shoulder. I'm here, Sarah. I'm not going anywhere. She leaned down, her forehead resting against his. You better not. Because I'm not done with you yet. In that moment, the crimes of Street Johns felt a world away. There was no fog, no murder, no shadows. There was only the heat of her skin, the scent of vanilla, and the promise of a future that they would build together, one heartbeat at a time. Outside, the moon broke through the Newfoundland clouds, casting a silver light over the harbor. Rex sat by the foot of the bed, his head resting on his paws, watching over them both, the partner, the protector, and the witness to a love that was just beginning to bloom in the cold, beautiful heart of the North. Epilogue.